Hello, I'm Chef Lamont, and over the next few weeks I'm going to be shooting a series of YouTube videos. Hopefully it's going to teach you a lot about doing some great cooking and some flavorful cooking. This videos would be cooking with roots. Roots is going to be one of the featured items in each one of the dishes we do, and hopefully you'll get to enjoy some good tasting Southern cuisine and understanding what the roots of what we're doing is going to be doing for us. Hello YouTube family, I'm Chef Lamont, coming today trying to get some good comfort food to show you how to cook something up. Today is March the 22nd and we're going through the coronavirus phase of this year, and right now we just want to be able to sit in and enjoy some good meals. So I want you guys to even be able to cook some things up and get the whole family involved in it. So first we're going to show you how to make and prepare a regular meal, and then we'll get back to having all our guests in to enjoy the meal. Alright, first off we're going to show you about making some chicken and dumplings. Now you know, we talked about before that when you're cooking, you want to make sure whatever takes the longest to cook, we're going to end up taking care of it first. So what I've done is I've already prepared some chicken broth, and I got it over here simmering on the stove because we're going to need some chicken broth to go with our chicken and dumplings. We got 2 cups of, I like self-rising flour because I like a good puff on my noodles. You can use plain flour, but self-rising flour gives you the best fluff to your noodles. 4 eggs, 2.5 cups of flour mixed together. I'm going to beat these eggs up real good because I like to make sure that all my egg mixture is all mixed up before we even get started mixing our dough together, because sometimes you don't get all your egg mixed up and you got white spots and yellow spots in it. So we just made a little well in the middle of that flour, and we're going to pour all our egg mixture in there. I've already washed and sanitized my hands, so now I'm going to end up using a rubber glove just to make sure I don't get a lot of flour under my nails. I'm going to mix this, stirring it in until I can get all of my mixture mixed together. I like for these dumplings to have a little bit of flavor, so we're going to add just a little bit of onion powder, about a tablespoonful, and about a tablespoonful of garlic powder. And we're going to mix that all in. So that's going to give our dumplings a flavor. Now, along with those 2.5 cups of flour, I kept back a 2/3 cup of flour just in case I needed to add some to it, and then we're going to need some to help roll out our dough. So get it all mixed up, and once you get it mixed up good, it start clunking together, then we know we just about got all our ingredients mixed all in. And we can get it mixed in, then we can start kneading it. And kneading it is what we're going to call, what we're doing is mashing, rolling, folding, and mashing. It's called kneading. Alright, just got a little bit of knead to it. There's still some dry down in it. So what I've done is I've added a little ice water to that. Ice water helps toughen this batter up just a little bit, and we're just going to use about a teaspoon of ice water at a time. I like for my dumplings to have just a little bit of texture and color to it, so I add a 1/4 of a teaspoon of yellow food coloring to that ice water. See, it's getting a little bit more on the doughy side. So we're just going to add just another little bit. Don't want to get no ice in it, of water. to that. Now it's getting really good and doughy. It's soft enough till we can start kneading it. Now I'm going to knead it first in this bowl so that we can get a good texture to it. Kneading dough for your dumplings, you can knead it as much as it takes. If you're kneading dough for biscuits, you don't want to do this much. But for dumplings, you want your dumplings to be just a little bit tougher. So we just knead this dough in here till we get us a good ball of it. You see how that looks? Is a little bit tacky to my hands, but not very much. And I don't have to worry about it sticking to me. Now, if we got this kneaded out, we're going to add a little bit of our extra flour to our table surface. Now, if you're in a restaurant, you can use parsnip paper and knead on it. But at home, you can knead it out on your cabinet table. So we do a mashing, and you knead best with your knuckles and the heel of your hand. Got that good and kneaded out. See my toe getting in the way of my light. And once we got it all kneaded out, we'll take this extra flour. Make sure that your rolling surface is always good and sanitized. In this era of this virus, we want to make sure that we don't contaminate, because that's how things got out of hand with this coronavirus, is that we let it fester into different other categories, and now we come up with a pandemic. And we don't want to cause any epidemic or any kind of foodborne outbreaks. So we're going to roll this dough out, and I tell you to roll it in every direction. You roll your dough in every direction, then you can get a good round surface on it. Turn it and roll it. It's not sticking to the table, so we know it's good and dry enough that it won't stick to the rolling surface, and it's not sticking to our rolling pin. I want you to roll this dough out as flat as you can get it, because of the baking powder and baking soda that's in your flour. It's going to cause it to puff up. And a good dumpling, you don't want it to be like a biscuit. You want it to be more of a noodly type of dough. So we're just rolling it and pressing it in every direction. And you want all of it to roll out evenly. So you don't want your ends to be thicker than your middle, or your middle to be thicker than any other portion of it. So that's why you want to make sure you keep that rolling technique going. I like the French style rolling pin, but if you got the old southern rolling pin with the two handles on it, you can use it just as well. Now, when I'm at the restaurant, once I got it rolled out like this, I use a dough knife. But most of you guys probably don't have a dough knife at your home, so I'm going to tell you to use a regular cutting knife that you can cut out your dough. So we're going to cut. We're going to make 2-inch slices, 1.5 inch slice through our dough. We're going to end up making 1.5 inch cross cut on these strips. So we're going to come up with our dough looking like that. Once we get our dough cut and our chicken broth is boiling, we'll end up letting this boil for 20 to 30 minutes. Now we got our chicken broth over there boiling. We're going to add our noodles batter to it for our dumplings. I like to keep them broke up so that once we add them to our boiling broth, they won't stick together. If they stick together, we're going to end up having some spots that didn't get fully cooked. Got a couple of ends there that's not quite as flat as my middle. So I'm just going to roll them just a little bit more so I can get all that even. If it's not even and some of it's too thick, this won't get done by the time the rest of it get done. And we're going to have some dry tasting dumplings in certain spots. So we want all our dumplings to cook evenly. We want to make sure that we try to keep all our dumplings close to the same size so that they do cook evenly. And the best thing about dumplings is they're not all quite uniform, but that's the best thing about cooking southern dishes is they're not quite uniform. This is comfort food at its best. Most of the time you get this comfort food like this here, you just want to sit around under the fireplace at a warm place in the house and just enjoy the rest of the family. This recipe came from my grandmother. We called her Mother. Her name was Gladys Harris, Chattanooga's own. And Mother would make these dumplings, and she probably got this recipe from her mother. And a few of us that grew up watching Mother cook in the kitchen, we learned some of these techniques. I talk a little bit more about my grandmother in my cookbook that's coming out. And by the way, that cookbook going to have a lot of things about cooking in Chattanooga, and we're going to end up using a lot of roots in what we cook with. So it got a little bit of something to do with how I was born here in Chattanooga. Now in my stock over here, we took and put the ends of our carrots, the ends of our celery, onions, and bell pepper along with some garlic in this broth to give it some more flavor, punch it up. And we got chicken boiling in it. I like to cook my broth with chicken with skin and bones on it because that skin and bones, it helps bring up and boost up the real flavors of your dish. So I'm going to take some of this stuff out of here before we add our noodles to it because I don't want the noodles to be interfered with some of these vegetables that's in here. This extra stuff in here sometimes it cause our noodles to stick together as well. And we'll add some of this stuff back to our dish once we get it cooked and our noodles get done. Now if you notice, I end up leaving a lot of this vegetables and chicken in there pretty big size so I could dip it back out of there and it wouldn't take us a lot of time to get it cleaned up. Now we got our stock back boiling. We're going to add our noodles to it, kind of make sure that they break loose and shake them around. And one thing about this extra flour that's on our noodles, it's going to help thicken up our broth. So our broth is going to get almost a gravy type of consistency. Because I want this to cook down some more, I'm going to add about 2 cups of water to that broth to help those noodles to cook down. Gonna put the top back on it, let it cook for a while. Now, while that's cooking, we're gonna get back to the rest of the meal. Wash up my hands. You want to make sure that you soap and lather up your hands real good. Wash your hands from your wrist all the way down to your fingertips. 20 seconds of hand washing should take care of most of your germs. That's for any time. You use the bathroom, you're out in public, you're at home, whatever you do, you want that water as hot as you can stand it, and wash your hands thoroughly, dry them with paper towel that you can throw away. Good dry on your hands, and that can be thrown away. Now, I got some bleach water over here in my sink. I like using a little bit of bleachy soap water so I can kind of keep my surfaces disinfected, as well as keeping things cleaned up for the next task. What we'll do, we'll wash our table space off, get it good and bleachy and soapy, come back, rinse out. Now, the next task we're going to get to is getting our vegetables for our dish ready. We're going to use some rainbow carrots to make sure that our carrot get roasted off really nice. So I got some nice orange carrots that I started to peel them off, so that I don't want to use all the extra. We're going to either peel our carrots or we're going to wash them real good. So we take them, we're going to peel them. We did rinse them off good, but we're going to peel these so we can cook with them. And these are going to be our roasted carrots for our meal. We got parsnip. Parsnip is another type of a carrot. It's in the carrot family. And it's got a lot of vitamin C to it. Got vitamins that help your blood system. It's got vitamins to sustain life. So we're using a lot of roots because I found out that growing up in the South, we end up cooking with a lot of roots. And then we got the purple carrot. It's called a beta sweet. So the beta sweet is going to add another level of flavor to our dish, as well as another source of it's a source that your body can use to help fight off different bacteria. You want to make sure that you be careful with your vegetable peeler, that you don't cut your hand, because your vegetable peeler is a type of a knife. The blades on it are very sharp. Now what we're going to do is we're going to slice these up into segments that we can use. You notice it's got a white inner to it. Makes a real pretty dish for your coloration in it. You want to keep these carrots close to the same size so they'll cook evenly. And we're going to end up seasoning them up and roasting them. I try not to lose a lot of our vegetable because we need as much vegetable as we can, and when you're in a family of a large size, you definitely want to keep as much vegetable so you can feed everybody. And I think that you will really enjoy this dish once you've prepared it. Not a lot of time spent on it. Make sure our parsnip is close to the same size. Particular vegetable, it's not as sweet as your beta carrot or your orange carrot, but it do adds another dimension of flavor to your dish. Now if you want to make this dish and just use all orange carrot, that's fine. It'll be good. I just want to give you another look at using some other different vegetables. In our community, we tend to go with what we already know, and that's good, but I like to expand our horizons on some things. So what I'm going to do here is I'm trying to cut all these here the same size. I'm going to make sure you get a good grip on whatever you're cutting. Got a good grip on your knife so that they don't roll around with you. My knives are so sharp that they'll cut you by touching it. So I want to make sure I don't get no rolling where they will roll and cut my finger. Been doing this a little over 40 years, and it's been a good while since I cut my finger. I don't want to start now. I'm going to put all of this rainbow carrots in a bowl. Just gonna mix them all in because they're gonna all cook together. We're gonna add us a little bit of seasoned salt. What we call a dash is about a half a teaspoon. We're going to do about another half a teaspoon of garlic. Just a pinch of salt and onion powder. Got all of this in here. I'm going to add just a little bit of olive oil. For you proper people, it's olive oil. You like to use olive oil, grapeseed oil, and those different type of oils that's a little bit lighter to use than just vegetable oil or granola oil. They're a little bit heavier. Your corn oils, they're a little heavier and they're a little bit more lasting in your digestive system. So we want to try to keep some of those things. You can use those oils, but I'd rather use a lighter oil like a olive oil or grapeseed oil, that type of oil right there. Now I like using it in my black flat skillet. It can go in the oven. You don't have a skillet like this, a regular cookie sheet or cooking pan will do this. Like for you to put all of your vegetables out so they're going to lay out flat. They're good and oiled up so you can get a good even cooking on them. Got them all laid out here. We're going to take this and run it in the oven. We're going to let it cook for probably about 15 minutes while we got our dumplings cooking. Give them a little bit of stir. Oh, that's smelling really good. I know you're going to enjoy these. Looks really, really good. Make sure we keep them all broke up, so we're going to stir them a little bit. Now our next dish we're going to get to is going to be our asparagus. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about asparagus. Now we're going to work on our asparagus. Best way to do asparagus, we've already washed them down, got them ready up. You're going to have a part of the asparagus that's going to be a little bit tough. The best way to figure that out is you just kind of move that a little bit. When it feels like it's not going to move no more, it'll snap right in half. We don't want this part, we're going to keep that part. And it almost will snap right where the tender part gets. When we get through with it, just snap it. I don't like to cut my asparagus because I lose more of my asparagus than we're going to really want to do. So we want to keep the majority of it without saying all my asparagus are going to cut right here at this point, and they won't all cut at that point. Some of these are pretty tender all the way up, but I'm just taking off the bottom end of it anyway. Now that we got our asparagus snapped, we don't need the tough part of it. We just drop it over here in the garbage disposal. And the main part of our asparagus, we're going to cook it all. So now we're going to cut it right in half. We're going to need us a little bit of garlic to go with that when we saute them off. And we're going to slice up some garlic about 1/8 of an inch thick. Be careful working with these little small pieces. A lot of people don't like to cut and chop garlic, so they just smash them and just take it and smash it down. But want our dish to look a little bit nicer, so this is what I'm calling my jazzed up dish. So we're going to slice it up a little bit. It takes a little bit more time, a little bit more patience in getting them cut. So we want about 1/4 cup of garlic to go along with that. I'm going to add a little bit of sweet colored peppers that's been washed. Don't need none of the vein or the seeds from any peppers unless you're doing pickling, and it don't really matter a lot. But when we use our peppers, we want to discard all of the vein, which is this little white part in there. It's a little bit more bitter, and it don't add anything to our dish, so we want to go and get rid of it. The seeds are hard to digest, so we don't like to use those. And paring knife to get rid of our vein. If my knife wasn't so sharp, I could probably devein it, but trying to devein these little bitty veins on these small peppers with that chef's knife, you're more apt to cut your hand. So we just eliminate that variable from our cooking time. You cut your hand, it's going to cost more time in fixing it, cleaning it up, and getting back started. So let's just alleviate that part of it. And we need just a little bit of onion to go with that. So we're going to make us some fine julienne cuts on some onion. And we'll cut up some juliennes for our peppers. We don't need a back nade cut on it because our asparagus will get overcooked trying to get our peppers cooked at the same time to the temperature, so we don't taste the raw pepper in our mouth. We got about a cup of peppers and onion, maybe a cup and a half, a little bit more. We might not going to use all of it in our dish, but we'll use it and cook it and we get all our flavors there. Alright, now this is ready to be cooked. Going to season it a little bit with some salt, some onion seasoning, and garlic. I had a little bit of pepper here, black pepper on that. And we're going to end up, it's about a teaspoon of black pepper. We're going to end up sauteing this off with, I have a margarine butter blend. This margarine won't cook and burn as fast as butter will. So we're going to put about a tablespoon and a half of our margarine butter blend with that when we saute it out. Next thing we're going to get to is giving our carrots a little bit of time to cook. Our dumplings are cooking a little bit. We're going to get our chicken prepared because we're going to grill it off. This is going to be our pumped up chicken, and we call it our jazzed up chicken and dumplings. So this chicken is going to be grilled rather than boiled in with our noodles. Now what I did is I did use a chicken with bone in it to help season up our broth. And because chicken with a bone in it takes a little bit longer to cook, but the bone marrow in it, along with the skin oils that come off of it, helps with the flavor of it. What I did is I put and roasted up a few more chicken with bone in the oven. So they've been cooking now for about 20 minutes on 350 degrees. So we got an extra little pre-cooked chicken legs to go in our chicken and dumplings. Now I'm going to end up adding a little bit of water to this so I can deglaze this little skillet. That's the reason I want to cook it in a skillet. And that little sizzle you hear, that's deglazing it. So in a few minutes, once that soaks up a little bit, that extra broth we're going to take and add to our dumpling mixture. In the meanwhile, we're going to end up taking some of our meat off our bone. Oh, it's smelling so good. This just adds a little bit more flavor to our chicken and dumplings. Make sure we get all our bone out of it. You can see it's cooked till it's just falling off the bone. So it's well done. You don't want to cook it rare and add it to your broth. It'll tend to make your broth spoil. And I don't like leaving no meat on my bones. Because I come from a big family. I'm the oldest of 8 children, and nobody really left meat on the bone. which we fight over that growing up. And maybe on one of these shows I'm gonna have all my brothers and sisters come in and sit with us on it. Of course, now they'll probably try to tell you how to cook, because they might think that they can cook better than me. Although I have been cooking a lot longer than what they would know anything about. I don't even know if my youngest brothers and sisters even got to meet or sit under my grandmother while she was cooking these type of dishes. My great-grandmother and my great-grandfather, they also added to what we know about cooking. So those kind of things help add to what I've learned when I went to culinary school. Most of your great chefs are going to be remembering and using cooking techniques and ideas that they learned from their parents, grandparents, and great-grandparents. Most of your great chefs. Once I talked to a lot of guys, I found out that they've done a lot more than just what they learned in culinary school. And then we learn from each other. Chefs teach other chefs. Add this to our dumplings. Stir this in. Thicken it up really nicely. Oh, I know y'all guys will come and get a good look at this here, because this is really cooking up really nice. And deglaze our skillet here. See how that broth look in there? And that broth is a lot of richness in it. So when you add that to your dumplings, the flavor will really enhance it. So we're going to add that little broth to it. Oh yeah. Now I'm going to put the top back on there, but we're not going to cover it all the way. We're going to let that breathe a little bit so that they don't stick in there. Alright, now we're going to season up the chicken right quick. So I want to get this out of the way before we end up working on our dessert. We're going to add a little bit of seasoned salt to it and a little bit of garlic. I love garlic. Garlic is good for the blood and for your circulatory system. It even works great in your digestive system. And a little bit of onion powder. I'm going to add that extra little bit of flavor. I also want to add, these are some herbs that I brought out of my garden, and we had dried them up last year. It's got some basil and some thyme and rosemary in it. These are dry ingredients we got in this little meal that we use. I try not to cross with my black pepper meal, and we got that seasoned up. We're going to grill that off in just a few minutes. We'll turn down our dumplings, let them cook for a little bit longer. I want to get together on my wash up, get through fooling with our, and I'm going to help you make up a mixture for that. Now, on our strawberry shortcake, my son-in-law, which is a great chef in his own right, he's chefing at one of the hotel restaurants downtown Chattanooga. He made me a little bit of strawberry preserve. We're going to add a little bit of these preserves to our strawberry shortcake mixture. I washed these strawberries already. I don't like to use the green part of the strawberry in our cake, and a lot of chefs, they get rid of the white part of the strawberry. They say, well, it ain't got a lot of flavor to it. Well, it don't. But like I say, coming from a family the size of mine, we use every piece of fruit and vegetable we got. So I'm in the habit of doing that when I'm at home. It's making sure that I use all of my ingredient to make my dish. So I only pull off the green part, and we use the full strawberry. I cut it into about 1/8 of an inch thickness, and we'll take and put them all in a bowl. So being careful not to cut your finger. If you cut your finger and you get blood on your strawberries, it's hard to tell the difference in the strawberry and the blood. And nobody wants to eat a bloody strawberry, right? So be very, very careful. Try not to let that strawberry move on you while you cut it. These strawberries are good and fresh. They come from up northern Tennessee up here in Dayton area. So we try to use a lot of fresh produce that's locally grown, as well as what we can grow here in our own garden at the house. When we're making these dishes, we're gonna prepare it for about 4 people to 6. You can just almost double this recipe. And to get this recipe, you can go back and get my cookbook when it comes out. It should be out by the summer of this year. Now, because oxygen on our fruit help it turn colors, it start oxidize, and that means it's going to end up getting into a position that it's going to start deteriorating because it's been cut. We take and add some acidity to it, which is some lemon. My lemons got washed a little while ago. We're going to just break up some of the juices in it. We're going to loosen up some of the juices in our lemon. I don't need the seeds in there. So this acidity is going to stop the oxidation from discoloring our strawberries. Got our strawberries and our lemon juice. I'm going to stir that up a little bit. Make sure they're all good and covered. And because lemon juice is so sour and acidic, we're going to add some sugar to that. About 1/4 of a cup of sugar. And we in the South, we love our sugar. That's what makes eating in the South so good and rich. And we use all our sugar to help re-sweeten our sweet strawberries to go on our strawberry shortcake. Now, take a little bit of this preservative that my son-in-law made for me. I'm going to add about 1/4 of a cup to that. Add our strawberries to it. We're going to toss that around a little bit. You know, that looks really good to you. Set that aside, and it'll be ready for our dessert line when we get ready for it. Put this away. I brought out some of this minced garlic. If you like, go to the store and you buy minced garlic because you don't want to dice up and slice up fresh garlic. This is a good substitute. It also helps enhance your dry garlic flavors. Now, we're going to add to our cooking time. We're going to start with our chicken. We'll get our chicken griddle pan good and hot, along with our pan for our asparagus. Asparagus and the chicken, we're going to try to cook them about the same time. They're going to take about the same amount of time to cook. Get our carrots. They're looking really good. We got a few more minutes on them. Turn that down just a little bit more. Now we're getting started with our oil for our asparagus. Put half our butter in and let it start melting while we got our skillet going for our chicken. Add our chicken in so it can start cooking. add a little bit of extra flavor to our asparagus dish. We're going to add just a little bit of bacon to this. We're going to dice this bacon up. If you're not a pork eater, you're not a meat eater, it's alright because you don't have to put bacon in it. I just like to add this extra little bit of flavor to it. The bacon's going to release a little bit more oil, that's why we're going on cooking it now. So it's going to mix with the oils in the bacon. It's going to give us some more oils when we start cooking our other ingredients. As your chicken is cooking, once you see it getting white or getting a discoloration around the edges of it, closer toward the middle, you know it's getting done on that one side. You want to let it cook until it's ready to turn over on the other side. We're going to let it cook about the same amount of time on the other side. Rest of our vegetables to that. Don't want to overcook them. We just want to get them good, sauteed off. Good hot skillet. All right, pumped up. Add us a little bit of lemon juice to this. Lemon always helps that asparagus flavor pump up. Like that color on there? Looks good. A couple more minutes on our chicken. We got our roasted carrots. Looks wonderful. Chicken and dumplings look great. Now we're going to dip up chicken and dumplings. Now don't that look good and hearty? That right there is what we call comfort food, ladies and gentlemen. Comfort food. This, ladies and gentlemen, is our chicken and dumpling, jazzed up. You can't be in the South without having a great dessert. So we got to throw a dessert on with this dish. And this dessert is going to be a strawberry shortcake. What we usually used to in the South. Strawberry shortcakes are apple cobblers and peach cobblers. This is the kind of stuff that we live for. So I'm going to show you a quick little strawberry shortcake putting together. We got my wife, one of my great baking chefs that I worked with over the years, has made me a vanilla cake. We're going to add some vanilla cake to the plate. We're going to top it with our strawberries. So I like to cut these in half using our strawberry. strawberry mixture we made earlier for our strawberry shortcake. Be careful with eating this kind of a cake, because you'll start looking for us in the daytime with a flashlight. You're going to be disappointed if you can't find it. We got strawberry shortcake. We're going to add us a little bit of whipped cream to that. And you might as well go ahead on and get it from the store, because when you whip up cream and you got a lot of them to make, they won't last long because your cream don't stand up. So I just say, just go ahead and get you a little bit of whipped cream from the grocery store. And this little whipped cream is topped for a great strawberry shortcake.
Here's the dumplings.
Look at the dumpling and a piece of chicken.
Oh my goodness.
Got a little chewy.
Oh, that's good. That's delicious.
The chewiness to it. The chicken is tender. We got a little bit of gravy. Okay.
That's good.
That's really good. And
Try
I
the
love
asparagus,
carrots.
because I love asparagus.
I'm a carrot girl. And so, they sweet, savory.
Carrots and parsnips, like
Yeah. I was going to ask you what that was. Those parsnips. Asparagus is excellent.
Love, love, love.
The purple carrot is a beta carrot.
You need to add some milk.
That beta carrot is good for fighting off bacteria in your body.
We need a whole truckload of these, y'all.
It's also good for, it helps fight cancer cells. So you can look online and it'll tell you a lot about purple carrots.
I'm going to try my asparagus.
Asparagus is awesome. Still got a bite to it.
Still got a bite. The crunch.